In a post-apocalyptic Japan, the land is ravaged by rust, a deadly plague-like wind which affects everything it touches, including humans. It is believed to originate from mushroom spores. Therefore, a 17-year-old mushroom keeper and archer, Bisco Akaboshi, whose arrows instantly grow mushrooms wherever they land, is regarded as a terrorist and has a price on his head.
It's like a reward.
He commands the giant crab Aktagawa, which he regards as his brother, that is also used for transport. He and his giant crab team up with the young doctor 𝐒𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐊 to search the wastelands for the legendary 𝐒𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐊, a mushroom said to devour all forms of rust. Join us as we delve deep into their journey.
Okay.
At the Gunma Border, a monk attempts to pass through. As an officer scrutinizes his papers, the monk's gaze falls upon a wanted poster featuring Bisco Akaboshi. The officer informs him that Bisco has transformed Mount Akagi into a mushroom mountain. Puzzled, the monk inquires why Bisco is labeled a man-eater, to which the officer explains that he consumes people. Doubts arise in the officer's mind about the monk's identity, questioning if his name, Watarigani Wataru, is genuine. The monk clarifies that it's his monastic name, having abandoned his birth name. Mentioning his destination as Imhama, Uta interjects, elucidating that the monk is on a funeral journey. He adds that nowadays, mostly monks traverse Gunma, as beyond the gate lies an endless desert of iron. Correcting Uta, the officer emphasizes that any criminal fleeing Gunma en route to Imhama must also pass through their gate. They are Gunma's final line of defense, necessitating heightened vigilance to apprehend any wanted criminals attempting to escape. Meanwhile, at Imihama's host club, an elderly hostess recounts the tragedy of losing her parents to rusting before leaving her village. Despite her efforts to share her past, the host girls show no interest, paying little attention to her tale. Meanwhile, 𝐒𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐊 attends to a patient afflicted with the rusting disease, relieved to find that the spread has halted. In another part of the city, a manju vendor procures a mushroom from a dealer, discussing the imminent arrival of a new mushroom variety with his partner. The old hostess persists in her narrative, recounting witnessing Tetsu Jin's finger and a man scraping rust from it. Realizing the validity of the rumors about mushroom keepers spreading the rust, she warns the girls against entertaining any mushroom keeper clients.
Wow.
As 𝐒𝐿 concludes his examinations, the old hostess expresses gratitude and offers one of the girls to him, but 𝐒𝐿 politely declines, citing the need to return home to his sister. On his way out, 𝐒𝐿 stops at the manju vendor to purchase food for himself and his sister. Inquiring about mushrooms, he examines the vendor's limited stock before learning about an upcoming rare variety. Deciding to purchase all the mushrooms, 𝐒𝐿 prompts the vendor's curiosity about his intentions, who hopes 𝐒𝐿 avoids trouble, recognizing the vital role of his medical services in the town. Refusing payment, the vendor mentions treating 𝐒𝐿's daughter for free, but 𝐒𝐿 insists on leaving money and invites him to seek assistance once his daughter's medicine runs low. 𝐒𝐿 learns from the news about mushroom terrorism in Gifu, Tabakushi, and Gunma prefectures, suspected to be the work of a single criminal. Despite Gunma's claim of eliminating the perpetrator, Dautzinger, 𝐒𝐿 returns home, bearing food, and then retreats to another room to utilize a mushroom in his drug synthesizer, determined to combat rust disease regardless of the ingredients. At the Gunma Border, an officer mocks the name Bisco and reveals him as a callous mushroom keeper, capable of spawning giant mushrooms with his bow.
Nice.
Questioning the monk's excessive luggage, the officer receives the unsettling answer. It contains the remains of deceased individuals. Later, Pawu hears news of a mushroom colony sighted in Saitama's Iron Desert, possibly linked to the supposedly deceased terrorist from Gunma. 𝐒𝐿 informs Pawu of his intention to deliver medicine to the manju vendor's daughter, prompting her to caution him about the presence of the mushroom terrorist, Bisco Akaboshi, in Saitama's desert, doubting his ability to reach Imihama. 𝐒𝐿 heads to the vendor, only to have his order snatched by a kid who flees. Tracking the kid to a street alley, 𝐒𝐿 is attacked until the kid realizes his mistake. 𝐒𝐿 notices the kid is stunned by a scorpion fly and helps him treat it, directing him to Panda Clinic if the swelling worsens. Retrieving his package sans manju, 𝐒𝐿 assures the kid of treatment next time. Governor Kurokawa arrives, commenting on 𝐒𝐿's altruism, but 𝐒𝐿 remains skeptical. 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 discusses Milo's new synthesizer and offers him a lucrative position, citing Pawu's incurable condition. Before they can discuss further, Bisco's arrow lands nearby, sprouting mushrooms. At the Gunma Border, the monk elucidates that the corpses in his cart belong to failed practitioners of the spiritual breathing technique, returning them to the rusty wind. The officer sends 𝐒𝐂𝐑 to inspect the bodies, but the monk warns of centipedes within to deter decay. Concerned about potential danger, the officer halts the inspection, permitting the monk to pass. Observing the monk's bow, the officer questions its use, to which the monk clarifies his order's stance. While killing isn't prohibited, the officer notes the prohibition on bows and guns to ensure the gravity of taking a life. At 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐊, Bisco battles the 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 watch, causing mushroom chaos. Pawu prepares to leave, but Milo insists she rests. Pawu, prioritizing Milo, knocks him out and departs. Milo awakens, finding Pawu gone. He reveals his new mushroom types and encounters Bisco, who asks for medicine. At the Gunma Border, Officer 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 mistakes the disguised Bisco for a monk and mocks his name. Bisco, revealing his true identity as Rust Eater Bisco, swiftly fires an arrow into the ground. Instantly, a giant mushroom sprouts, lifting him, his enormous crab 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿, and his partner 𝐒𝐿, hidden in the wagon over the border. 𝐒𝐿 is dying from rusting and Bisco plans to take him to 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿, hoping that Dr. Milo can cure him. In 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿, Bisco presents Milo with a 𝐒𝐿 mushroom for 𝐒𝐿's treatment. Their meeting is abruptly interrupted by 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐿's elite forces, sporting distinctive bunny masks, who storm the clinic with gunfire. Bisco retaliates with his arrows, summoning giant mushrooms that provide cover for their escape. 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐿 reprimands the mercenary 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 for the lapse in security. Meanwhile, Milo's sister Pawu, assuming her role as captain of the 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 watch, swiftly gears up and mounts a motorcycle to pursue the notorious outlaw, Akaboshi Bisco. Bisco manages to outmaneuver 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐿's forces, capturing one of the bunny masks, revealed to be 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿. However, before he can interrogate her, Captain Pawu confronts him, poised for action. 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 issues a warning about a giant mushroom sighting, cautioning citizens to avoid inhaling spores. Tyrell encounters 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐿's men at the West Gate and is forced to confront Bisco, but is swiftly defeated. She pleads for her life as Pawu arrives, distracting Bisco and allowing Tyrell to escape. Meanwhile, Milo administers a blood transfusion to 𝐒𝐿, fearing that despite treatment, rusting will ultimately claim his life. Surprisingly, 𝐒𝐿 remains conscious and reveals he has only a month left. Milo learns of Bisco's distraction outside and queries 𝐒𝐿 about his identity, discovering he's Bisco's mentor. In a fierce battle, Bisco and Pawu impress each other with their skills. Bisco explains that mushrooms consume rust rather than spread it, a sentiment echoed by 𝐒𝐿 to Milo. Despite their explanations, Pawu remains skeptical and accuses Bisco of vengeance against mushroom keepers. Bisco refutes this, expressing his quest for the legendary Rust Eater mushroom to save a friend. Pawu, unconvinced, continues their confrontation, demanding answers about Milo. Bisco, noticing a resemblance between Pawu and Milo, praises him as a great doctor, further infuriating Pawu. At the Gunma Border, 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 and 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 inspect the king trumpet mushroom, discussing the need to manage it to prevent rust spread. Bisco advises fertilizing the mushroom with hippo dung wiki, explaining that mushrooms consume rust to grow. 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿's annoyance prompts gunfire from him towards Bisco. Pawu confronts Bisco about Milo's condition, but he swiftly incapacitates her using knockout poison mushrooms. Bisco brings Pawu to Milo and 𝐒𝐿, surprised to find 𝐒𝐿 recovering thanks to Milo's treatment. Milo identifies Pawu as his older sister, and Bisco suggests giving her the same medicine as 𝐒𝐿. 𝐒𝐿 insists they must flee and offers to distract the 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 watch while Bisco and Milo escape. Bisco reveals Milo's role as a medicine synthesizer, prompting Milo to volunteer to accompany him. Bisco eventually agrees, recognizing Milo's determination to save his sister. Using a mushroom, they leap over the North Gate. On their journey, they pass the Nikko War Memorial, where Milo recounts its history of purifying rusted machinery. After escaping 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿 together, Milo and Bisco trudge out into the desert in search of the rust-eater mushroom, hoping to locate it before Pawu and 𝐒𝐿 succumb to the rusting disease. Eventually, they stumble upon Bisco's crab, 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿, which had hidden during the events in 𝐒𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐿. Milo struggles to mount the giant crab, but eventually gains control. Later, they pause at an old abandoned gun emplacement at 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐊 to rest. Inside, they find Tyrell struggling to breathe. Milo swiftly saves her from a balloon worm secretly planted inside her by 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿, which expands without regular doses of an inhibitor. The armed children of Tetsu Jin town demand that Bisco release the boy, but he shocks them by revealing his true identity as the wanted criminal Akaboshi and surrenders himself. Later, a child explains to Milo that giant blowfish schools rise up in winter, threatening the town. The adults have left to work for 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 in 𝐼𝐻𝐻, aiming to earn enough money to cure what they believe is rust infecting the children. However, Milo clarifies that the children actually suffer from shell skin. He provides a cure that the children can easily manufacture themselves. When an unexpected school of giant floating blowfish approaches the town, Bisco effortlessly frees himself and skillfully shoots down the blowfish with his arrows, causing them to burst into huge mushrooms upon impact. Meanwhile, in an abandoned city, 𝐻𝐻𝐿 rescues an old couple threatened by a giant spider. However, she soon realizes the couple's sinister intentions. They've been eliminating other inhabitants and travelers, intending the same fate for her. Bisco and Milo trudge through a snowy wasteland where they discover Tyrell nearly frozen to death. Once again, Milo saves her life, and the three continue their journey aboard 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿. Grateful, Tyrell assists Milo in bartering with Shimobiki traders who speak a different dialect. They eventually reach the frozen entrance to Kitsunezaka Station, which 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿 breaks open. Inside, they explore an old subway tunnel and stumble upon an automatic railcar. However, it requires yen coins which no longer exist. That evening, while perusing the field guide to life in Kanakidani guidebook authored by a mushroom keeper, which they acquired from the traders, Milo discovers information about the rust-eater mushroom found on a giant flying pike snake. Using her mechanical skills, Tyrell successfully hotwires the railcar, allowing Milo and Bisco to part ways, bidding farewell to Tyrell after finally exchanging names. As 𝐻𝐻𝐿 tries to apprehend Bisco, the giant flying snake re-emerges from the valley, snatching her with its finger-like appendages. Milo commands 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿 to leap onto the snake's back, using its claw to wound it and compel the snake to release 𝐻𝐻𝐿. However, the snake ensnares 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿's claw with its long tongue. In a desperate move, Milo severs 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿's claw, but the snake swallows both him and Bisco as Bisco attempts to rescue him. Inside the snake's belly, Bisco uses his mushroom-creating arrows to slay the creature. He then tastes one of the Matsutake mushrooms attached to the snake's body and realizes it is not the rust eater. However, Milo discovers that it reacts with Bisco's mushroom keeper blood, enabling him to create a rust-neutralizing serum. As 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 arrives overhead in an airborne vehicle to claim the giant rust-eater snake's body, he shoots Bisco with a rust bullet before departing with the snake. 𝐻𝐻𝐿 experiences a change of heart towards Bisco, even referring to him as cute before departing for 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿 with some of Milo's anti-rust serum to cure 𝐒𝐿. However, upon her return to Shimobiki base, she discovers her men missing and 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 holding 𝐒𝐿 captive. Despite his weakened state from his wounds, Bisco attempts to follow 𝐻𝐻𝐿, but Milo intervenes, injecting him with some serum and preparing to rescue 𝐻𝐻𝐿 and 𝐒𝐿 himself. 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 holds 𝐻𝐻𝐿 captive at Shimobiki base and broadcasts a chilling message, threatening to end her life unless Milo delivers both Bisco and the anti-rust serum to him. Milo confronts 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿, armed with a knife coated in mushroom poison, but 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 reveals his past as a former mushroom keeper and neutralizes Milo with an arrow laced with puppet shroom, controlling his movements. Just as 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 demands the secret of the rust eater from Milo, Bisco intervenes, launching a surprise attack and injuring 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿. Milo experiences a haunting dream of his comrades before waking up to a shocking revelation. He is blind and fatally infected with rust. Bisco, ever composed, reassures him and administers the rust-eating medicine that 𝐻𝐻𝐿 had provided earlier. Determined to confront 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿, Bisco sets out on his mission. Meanwhile, at the Japanese government forces Miyagi base, 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 unveils his sinister plot to 𝐒𝐿. He boasts of an ample supply of anti-rust treatments obtained through the persecution of mushroom keepers. 𝐒𝐒𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 reveals that the original rust wind has remained mostly benign for a considerable period. To artificially escalate demand, He and the Japanese government resort to producing synthetic rust wind using the last functional Tetsu Jin and its internal rust reactor. In a chilling revelation, 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐿 unveils his plan to employ the elephant-like 𝐻𝐈𝐍𝐻 cannon, armed with concentrated rust bullets, to obliterate the rust-eater source at Weeping Child Ravine, securing his monopoly. He pressures 𝐒𝐈𝐍𝐻 to recruit mushroom keepers to extract their blood for the rust-eater medicine, but 𝐒𝐿 staunchly refuses. Threatening to maim 𝐒𝐿, 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐻's intentions are thwarted when Bisco, disguised in a bunny mask, intervenes. Instead of 𝐒𝐿's fingers, Bisco severs the chains and incapacitates 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐻 by stabbing him in the foot. Entrusting 𝐒𝐿 with the task of dismantling the 𝐻𝐈𝐍𝐻 cannon, Bisco engages 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐻 in a fierce confrontation. During their intense battle, Bisco suffers grievous injuries. Shot in the eye with a rust bullet, he watches in horror as his fingers and forearms succumb to rust. In a daring move, he seizes 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐻 and plunges into a vat of liquid rust. As the molten rust threatens to engulf them both, Bisco makes a heartbreaking plea to Milo to end his suffering. Arriving in the nick of time, Milo is forced to make a devastating choice. With tears streaming down his face, he fulfills Bisco's final wish, ending his life with an arrow and professing his love as Bisco slips away. As the 𝐻𝐈𝐻𝐻 cannon is ready to unleash destruction upon Weeping Child Ravine, 𝐒𝐿 and 𝐵𝐻 unite their efforts, causing the cannon to topple and trigger a catastrophic explosion, bringing down the facility. Reunited with Milo, they mourn the loss of Bisco, his memory living on in their hearts. Suddenly, the Tetsu Jin emerges from the wreckage, its metallic frame now engulfed in a menacing shroud of rust. With a destructive blast, it obliterates Weeping Child Ravine and turns its fury on the government forces, transforming them into rust statues with its lethal breath. Milo, resolved to follow the Tetsu Jin, sets off on its trail, while 𝐒𝐿 and 𝐵𝐻 prepare to pursue on 𝐒𝐷𝐈𝐻𝐻. At Shimobiki Base, Terrell eavesdrops on conversations about the events at Miyagi Base, just as the Tetsu Jin looms into view. Government forces launch an attack, but the Tetsu Jin retaliates, turning them into rust statues while chanting Akaboshi. Milo catches up with the monstrous figure, which he believes to be a transformed 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐍𝐻, and showers it with mushroom-producing arrows. 𝐒𝐿 arrives on 𝐒𝐷𝐈𝐻𝐻, adding his firepower to the assault. However, the Tetsu Jin sheds the mushrooms and triggers a devastating explosion, intensifying the chaos and uncertainty surrounding their desperate struggle. 𝐒𝐿 and Milo survive the explosion, shielded by 𝐒𝐷𝐈𝐻𝐻, though 𝐒𝐿 sustains injuries. Reflecting on the destructive power of rust, 𝐒𝐿 contemplates its godlike qualities and its symbiotic relationship with mushrooms, born from its presence. As Milo prepares to depart on 𝐒𝐷𝐈𝐻𝐻 toward Imihama, leaving 𝐒𝐿 in the care of locals, 𝐒𝐿 admonishes Milo for his use of a dangerous mushroom drug. Meanwhile, the Tetsu Jin approaches Tetsu Jin town, prompting the children to flee in terror. Just as the monster threatens to devastate the town, Milo arrives on 𝐒𝐷𝐈𝐻𝐻, resuming his barrage of arrows. Despite the Tetsu Jin's relentless advance, Milo's efforts slow its progress until the Imihama Watch intervenes, launching an assault with ground tanks and aerial missiles. Terrell arrives with 𝐵𝐻 and 𝐒𝐿 in a vehicle, joining Milo in his battle against the Tetsu Jin. Despite their efforts, the monster remains unstoppable, and a colossal fan emerges from its chest, unleashing a rust storm. In a last-ditch effort, Milo injects himself with Bishaman mushroom poison, enhancing his abilities. He confronts the Tetsu Jin directly, managing to climb onto its body and begin cutting it open. Although the monster throws Milo aside, Bisco starts to emerge from within its body, acknowledging Milo's role in his return from the brink of death. With newfound determination, Bisco prepares to confront the 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐻𝐻 Tetsu Jin once again. Milo and Bisco share a joyful reunion, but Bisco's transformation catches Milo's attention. With a glowing right arm and emitting spores, Bisco appears to be part human and part rust eater. Despite his altered form, Bisco launches an assault on the 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐻𝐻 Tetsu Jin. Terrell discerns that the key to defeating the Tetsu Jin lies within its iron mask, where its pilot resides. 𝐵𝐻 bravely volunteers to split the mask, with Bisco's promise to grant her any wish upon her return. Unexpectedly, 𝐵𝐻 surprises Bisco with a sudden kiss before launching herself toward the Tetsu Jin's head. Using her steel pole, 𝐵𝐻 strikes the mask, managing to split it without triggering an explosion. As the mask falls away, 𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐻 is revealed within the head, but he continues to fight. In a desperate move, he momentarily blinds Bisco with concentrated rust. Encouraged by Milo, Bisco lets loose an arrow, bringing an end to Kurokawa and halting the Tetsu Jin's self-destruct sequence. A surge of rust-eater mushrooms blossoms forth, annihilating both the Tetsu Jin and all traces of rust in the vicinity, including the affliction within Pewu. With the massive proliferation of rust-eater mushrooms, a boundless cure is now available for the people of 𝐒𝐒𝐓𝐿. Pewu assumes leadership as the new governor of 𝐒𝐒𝐓𝐿, boldly declaring the city's independence from the Japanese government and condemning its mistreatment of mushroom keepers. In the aftermath, Bisco and Milo, in disguise, pass through the Gunma Border outpost. As a gesture of gratitude, they present vials of the rust-eater injection to the outpost's official and his assistant for their care of the mushrooms left behind. Setting out on their journey, Bisco and Milo are determined to find a means to reverse the effects of the rust-eater transformation. Bisco, not desiring immortality and plagued by the continual growth of mushrooms on his body, seeks a way to reclaim his humanity. That was it from today. Thanks for joining us on Bisco Akaboshi's post-apocalyptic journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more. See you next time.